Now we're up to 8 Sibley Road, the light at the end of the tunnel. It's dim, but all right. We've given this about 15 minutes. We had a site walk this morning to look at the facility, so we're all up to speed. Everybody attended the site walk, so we know what the story is. That having been said, we could maybe spend 10 minutes for somebody to explain what this is, and then that would leave us 10 minutes or so for planning board questions and comments. So who's taking the lead on this? By the way, my name is Al Adelot. I'm the chairman of the board. And over there's David Mendelson. He's going to the bathroom. This is Susan O'Ryan.
Roy Chaldash. Steve Oppenheimer.
Thank you for your time. My name is Victor Grohl. I'm one of the owners of the facility. A few others, Leo Richards, who was a Weston police officer, Matt Donahue, former Marine, and a sports shooter, Matt McLaughlin. Basically, what we're trying to accomplish is to create a facility that's going to be used for training and education and sports shooting. We spend a lot of time trying to find a location that would be suitable for us and then hopefully suitable for the community, kind of off the beaten path where we're not going to bother anybody. But basically, it's for educational and sporting purposes. There's going to be classes run where somebody can learn how to, first of all, be able to get his pistol permit, which is required to take a course. Leo teaches that course, as well as in teaching all the Weston police officers their shooting drills. And again, the facility will be for sport shooting and for education. There'll also be training. We've talked about possibly having archery involved and training for first responders, and anything around the shooting sport will be able to be taking place there. It's going to be a private facility, members only. It's going to be fairly upscale in the world of shooting clubs. It's going to be, again, members only. The board will have to approve them. They'll have to be recommended by 2 folks. So we're trying to make something quite nice and private and safe. And that's the 2-minute story. So I don't have bullets to show you, but that's what we're doing, or we hope to do.
This morning we found out that there are going to be 10 shooting lanes.
8 to 10 shooting lanes.
8 to 10.
Actually, Matt, what's the title?
10 shooting lanes.
10 shooting lanes, yes.
And you're going to have a facility for small classes of maybe up to 15 people?
10 to 15 people, yes.
Okay.
And a lobby area, and then the lanes themselves.
Yeah. Okay. And you expect that the hours of operation are going to be largely in the evening after work. You don't expect a big population during the working hours, but maybe in the evening, 10, 15 people an hour or something in that neighborhood, or what kind of occupancy are you looking at?
Probably less than that. Again, it's a private club for members only, and in general, other clubs of this nature have most of the activity on the weekend days and in the evening after work, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., let's say. During working hours, we probably wouldn't expect more than 1, 2, 3 people per hour to be there.
Yeah, 2 or 3 people during working hours.
And people are working. Again, this is but people usually come after work and then on the weekend during the days.
But is it 1 employee, 2 employees, 3 employees?
Very few employees. I mean, again, Leo is going to run the school there, and then there'll be various range officers will be there at various times for people who want to be trained or education purposes. There's no full-time employee that will be there 9 to 5. Again, it's a members-only club, so people will have a pass card. They can let themselves in and out. There'll be people there, but they're not going to be staffed full-time.
So it's possible for a member to be there when there's no staff there?
Yes, there is. That's quite common in private shooting clubs. And in fact, that's the norm. Private shooting clubs are not staffed full-time. Again, this isn't open to the public, so you're a member, to be a member, you have to be invited to be a member, you have to pass a training course, you have to obviously have a pistol or a rifle permit, you have to have a weapon. So these people necessarily don't have to be watched, so they have the ability to come and go as they please.
I'm a member in the Wayland Club, Rod and Gun Club, and pretty much when I go there, if I go there on a weekday during the daytime, I am the only one there. On the weekend, that's when you'll see 3, 4, 5 cars, depending, but they're very limited in their space also. Their outdoor range is fairly popular on the weekends, but it really overall isn't. On the active membership, let's see, there's probably 200 members there. It's probably like 10% that are there any week. I'm guessing, just on a casual observation.
What kind of dues structure are you talking
I'm sorry, sir?
about? Dues.
It'll be a dues structure, yes, sir.
I was just wondering what kind.
Oh, the dues will be probably $200 to $250 annually with a $100 membership fee. Again, if it's relevant, the gentlemen who are going to be involved with this project as instructors are going to be the same 3 folks who are instructors for the Weston Police Department. There's going to be, as I said, there's going to be Leo Richards, there's going to be Bill Carlo, there's going to be Jeremy Gerard, who was present tonight, and Mark Alonso, who's also going to be present, who's training to be an instructor. So everybody who instructs the police officers in Weston will be also instructors in this facility.
Yeah. You said it's going to be firearms or long guns that shoot firearms or handgun caliber ammunition. So we're talking up to what, 45 caliber, something like that?
45 is probably the largest.
Yeah, probably pistol calibers excluding anything 44 Magnum and up. So that would include a standard 45 caliber pistol. 44 Magnum is a much higher power cartridge. Again, the exact cartridges that would be allowed would be specified by the designer of the backstop system once that is completely done. But basically what we're seeking to do is pistol calibers only and pistol caliber rifles. So for example, 22 rifles such as are used for Olympic training.
Doesn't a Tommy gun shoot at 45?
It is
Yes.
possible. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that is correct. But I don't think we'll have
I don't think we're going to allow automatic weapons. We're probably not going to allow automatic weapons.
You can probably count on one hand.
Again, this is a sporting facility. The folks who want to shoot really big guns that are very loud and make a lot of noise, that's not the kind of person we're looking for.
Yeah.
There are plenty of other clubs to do that. This is going to be a sporting facility, much more upscale than that.
So not the 223 caliber.
Not the 223.
We're not intending to have center fire rifle cartridges fired inside.
And you mentioned archery as well?
We're considering having an archery. We've been approached to have an archery program as well. And we're thinking about having hours where a couple hours a week where there won't be live fire weapons. You will have archery as well.
I love that idea, only because we allow hunting on the land now, and we can improve we can get a couple more deer.
Yeah, and we also
Great.
know with the gentleman who handles the Olympic training for a lot of kids in the New England area. And he does a lot of stuff around here. So he was looking maybe for another potential facility to train at, and that's mostly air pistol and air rifle. So that's another possibility for the facility as well.
And lastly, the folks at the Weston PD suggested they might want to use an ancillary facility in addition to their own for whatever training purposes they may have. And we're completely open and welcome to doing that as well with them if they desire.
Well, I don't think you were at the sidewalk this morning. It was another
I was not at the sidewalk this morning.
I
no, sir.
conducted the sidewalk, but there were a couple of things that we talked about. He was going to speak with your attorney. One was,
Yeah,
that was you?
We took care of that. We have that with us, and we actually have, I believe I emailed the identification to Joe.
Yes.
The identification we've got, and you're going to be in a for-profit club, right?
We have, sorry about that confusion. What the accounts were saying is that in the first, it's quite expensive to build. It's a $400,000 investment to build a facility. So for the first year or two, we're going to lose money. So the accountants were talking from an accounting point of view, it may be recognized as a not-for-profit for a few years, but it is a for-profit facility. It's not
Might
intended
as
to
well
be
just admit it and not go through that.
Right, and we're probably, we may not make profit for a little while, we have to recoup a lot of investment.
So for a while, it'll be a for loss facility.
It'll be a tax write-off facility.
We have a tax write-off, and really, because us folks who shoot, I mean, this area really needs a facility. You know, if you have a weapon, common sense would dictate you should really be proficient at shooting it. It's like giving somebody a driver's license. You cannot drive with that license until your wife is going to the hospital because she's pregnant. So if people are going to have firearms, it's a good idea to be able to be proficient in using
Yeah,
them
that's for sure.
for all purposes.
There's no change in exterior lighting or anything like that. And it was the parking we
Signage.
talked about.
One
Signage.
sign at the street and
Oh,
then
yeah,
one
let's
sign
talk
at the
about
building.
that, about the signage.
Our
Yeah.
Go on, Matt, please.
application included that we were going to have up to 3 lights to shine on the sign itself that was going to be adjacent to the building. And then we left it open in regards to what the town would allow for signage on entrance Sibley Road. So part of our application, we outlined that, just not being sure yet of what we're going to need to illuminate the sign and not bother anyone. We weren't thinking of bothering anyone because the location's actually pretty hidden.
Okay, but all right, so let's just talk about the signage on the building. I assume they're not going to be uplights, spotlights from the ground. They would be some
No,
shielded
just
downlight
pointing
just to
down.
illuminate.
Precisely.
Okay.
Remember, the
Their
facility-
sign was 8x4, so I mean, it's not a terribly large sign. And
Oh, on the building.
realistically, just goosenecks looking over would probably be all that's
Don't we
appropriate.
need to get a submittal on
Yeah,
that?
we need
Well,
to-
that's, we'll need that, and we could condition that. We have that submitted for us to approve prior to like any construction. They still have to go to the ZBA as well, so there's an opportunity for us to get some of this stuff, especially because of the lateness of our permitting season, get this stuff up in so that we can review and just approve it, you know, as part of just sort of administrative review. And I mean, there's very few, you know, options here. It's affixed to the building. It's just in what manner and what is the cut sheet for that.
Right. And then there's the roadside sign, which actually is important.
And to be quite honest, because this is members only, we're not really concerned. Whatever you guys think is best, we're happy with the sign. It's just to let somebody know where to make the left to go.
Right, yeah.
We're not open to
It's
the
pretty
public.
confusing
Well,
up
the
there
light
anyway.
fixtures that we see and improve our dark sky compliant, that's a term for kinds of light, so that, you know, it keeps the light where you want it, on the ground, rather than up in the sky, you know, in the trees.
And we're open to whatever recommendation. It's a members only. We're going to have a few hundred folks. They just have to know where to make the left or the right. So we're quite comfortable, whatever you guys want.
We got some sense to the safety features, especially the ceiling about ricochets and things of that nature. And we may have gone into some of the sound deadening, but could you go over that a little bit more? Because that's one of the issues. I know the building's far away from residences generally, but I just want to get some sense
We
for
wouldn't
sound
want to
deadening.
drown out the tremor.
Let me give you the 2-minute overview, and then Matt can give any details. I mean, basically, we are building a bunker inside that building. Somebody could shoot a gun in any direction. Again, we have a backstop, but if a firearm went off, the bullet is not leaving the building. We're literally building a cement and steel bunker inside that shell.
Right.
From the outside of the building, I mean, you might hear, that's all you're going to hear. So the sound is, I wouldn't say you don't hear it, but it might be not much louder than that from the outside. Again, beyond that definition, he can give you the specifications of how thick the steel is and how the cement. Do you want to go a little deeper into this?
More, you know, the sound generator. I mean, a gun is probably 120 decibels or something like that, I imagine. So on the other side of that wall, and then no one's going to be on the other side of the wall per se. We're talking about a distance of maybe 100 feet or 50 feet.
I believe there'll be no sound at that.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't be able to hear anything from sort of unless you were very close to our actual part of the building.
Right.
I think that's what you'd be able to kind of pictures imitate right now, but if you're, let's call it 30, 40, 50 feet back where the mulch was, whatnot, you won't be able to hear anything. We're using ballistic tile on top of cement, which is actually what the military uses. It's part of the military handbook, which is where that came out of, and it's as soundproof as it can be.
It'll be quieter than the range at the police station. That's in the basement.
And the landscaping trucks coming and going will be louder than what you'll hear from the outside.
And the train.
The train you may hear a little louder as well from the outside.
Yeah, I made a pause a few times this morning for the train, so.
And the arguments up at the mobile station.
Gonna be a lot louder.
It won't bother the tenants, the other tenants in the building, and that's a pretty big hollow building. It won't be impacting them. Maybe there are clerical workers somewhere in there.
Actually, the landlord of the building, Bill, you want to make commentary on that?
Yeah.
Sorry to hear the question.
I'm just wondering if it was going to sound impact on other people in the building, working during the day in the building. I don't know what kind of sound impact it would be in there. Reverberation chamber.
What I'm told here on the construction for the sound, it's not going to interfere at all with the other tenants. I mean, there's buffer zones between the few that have an office space and storage space, and like somebody mentioned, the train makes a whole lot more noise. You can't even talk when the train goes by. So
Pretty poor is that building.
Most of the space is really, it's space for storage for the electricians and landscapers. Really, the office that's there is actually Bill's office.
Okay, so you're probably the only people in the building sort of clerical work or office work.
no, there's 2, 3 other companies, but they're not abutting where the walls to where this facility will be. There is spacing between them. And again, even if they were right beside each other, from what I'm told, with the structural integrity of what's going to be built, is going to be air conditioning, a radio, or a telephone ringing there are probably going to mute over all of any kind of sound from any of the firearms at that point.
So you're not anticipating having any of your other tenants complain about the incredible noise coming out of here?
I don't think so.
And it'll be your problem anyway, right?
It really is not going to be that loud. But
Yeah, it's
again,
not.
we're building a bunker within a steel shell,
Yeah.
and then buffer zones, and then the next offices.
Okay, yes.
I have a question. You said that it's members only several times, but you also said that you have to own a weapon and you have to be qualified to use it. But you also said will have education classes. I'm not trying to give you a hard time, I'm just trying to get
Sure.
which the chicken and the egg kind of thing. How do you get qualified if you can't be a member before you know how to?
For several years, I've been doing classes as a state certified instructor through the Mass State Police, and myself and Jeremy also. And we do the class that is required before you can even apply for a license. You have to take a safety course. And a lot of it focuses not so much on shooting, but on legally carrying, possessing, transporting firearms, storage of firearms, some paperwork aspects, and then basic safety about how not to hurt yourself or anyone else with a firearm. It's pretty simple. It's a 3 to 4 hour course depending on the size.
And how do you get that course? From the police?
No, I do that as a private business on my own.
Okay.
And there's probably a couple of hundred people certified to do it, but very few that actually do it on a regular basis towards a business. So it is my business.
Okay, so that's how you get.
Then once you get the safety certificate that I issue from the state, then you can apply to your local authority for the firearms license.
Right. Okay, and that would be the minimum qualification, even to be eligible to be invited.
You have to be licensed by the state to
Right, which is
own
what you
firearms.
just explained.
Right.
So you can come to the facility to take the course, and then once you have the course finished, you can apply for a
But
weapon.
that course would be this private one he was talking about.
Exactly.
Yes,
Okay.
in the facility, but you couldn't shoot that. You could use.
No,
it
I
to go to
understand,
class.
but you can understand my question.
Yes, I do.
How do you,
Yeah, how
it's
do
a
you-
chicken and egg thing.
Exactly.
How do you get qualified?
Yeah, and we teach, there's about 19 courses accepted by the state. We teach the Mass Chiefs of Police Association course.
Okay, and I take it it's open to men and women both
Yes.
to qualify.
Again, you have to. I'm sorry to interrupt. You have to take the course in order to get a pistol permit in Massachusetts.
No, I got the explain this, right.
How do you take that course without learning how to fire a firearm? Or are you using someone else's?
Oh, yeah, no, I supply everything, including if you want to go on to the shooting portion. I do the classroom portion first, and then the shooting portion later.
Yeah, but whose weapon he's saying? Where do you get?
Mine.
Okay.
I'll be clear. The shooting portion is to receive your certification does not require you to physically shoot a weapon.
But I would recommend anybody who's actually going to go through the process to go through the firing portion, because there's,
It doesn't make sense.
it doesn't exactly.
Okay, have we grilled these guys enough? Okay. In that case,
Just one thing, I just
Yeah.
want to just have the board vote to have town council look at the indemnification form, just to make sure that if, to make sure who would be the one to sign it, because the one that was provided as town of Weston is that planning board, is it town as in town manager, board of selectmen, and then also just to review it for legal form.
well, I would see two conditions on the motion. That would be one condition. The other condition would be review the sign proposals, the size,
Yeah.
location, lighting,
Color,
lettering,
font.
at some point, both for the roadside sign and the
Yep.
building attached sign.
Yep.
So those would be the two conditions.
Yep.
Shouldn't you also have a decibel limit? I mean, you're putting it on generators in people's private houses. They might get a little bent out of shape.
Yeah.
They were having a shooting range. I mean, I'm all for the shooting
We
range.
typically require for sound generation for generators 40 dBA at the property line. It sounds like you're going to meet 40 dBA easily.
In the next room.
In the next
Yeah.
room, that would be fine as well.
The challenge would be also that, we undertook that sound study specifically under generators, and one of the things that we evaluated was ambient noise. And that area around Highland Meadows was excessively low, that they were at ambient noise in the 30s at nighttime. Here, even this close to 128,
The train.
I don't see it as
128 is
It's
going to
not-
You
be,
still have to
It's
address
not.
it, just.
you're probably not going to be able to measure that they comply, because the ambient background noise is going to be still so high,
Just the traffic.
even
Right.
Yeah, it's just a
middle of the night.
formality, but you don't want to.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah. Okay, so we can, that would be the third condition, to, verify that it meets the planning board standards on noise propagation. So, anybody want to make that motion? To close the hearing with those conditions?
Can you just ask how we verify that, how do we verify that we meet that noise condition?
It's going to have to be, I imagine, tested after the facility is constructed, just to prove that, if you're standing up at the mobile station, you're not really hearing anything louder than a clap.
No problem.
Completely acceptable.
Yeah,
And easy.
yeah. I mean, I think it's that. I don't know about other tenants in the building. We've never encountered that before. I don't know what standard to put on that. We'll have to think about that when we're reviewing the conditions.
All right, then I move to close the hearing with the three things that we discussed: verifying DBA, the indemnity, and the signage.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we will draft a certificate of approval, and we'll review that at some point over the next several weeks.
Yeah, we have to figure out.
We got to
the
figure out a
time.
day when we're going to do that. And then,
They have things they have to submit.
yeah, that, for when you're ready for to show us your ideas for the signs, come back to us and show us those. And we'll verify the sound generation at the appropriate time. But basically, this would give you the ability to get a building permit and get started.
After going to the
Zoning Board of Appeals, yeah.
May I ask one question? Again, because the sign's not overly important to us, could we just, how would we go about finding whatever the requirements are so we can just meet them?
Stop by or give me a call tomorrow, and I'll go over it, because then we can also sort of discuss timeline. And I know that you're interested in getting in front of the ZBA, so we can make sure that we're lining things up so that we get the documents the board is looking for, decision out to the ZBA, and make sure that things are lined up for them as well.
Thank you.
Great, thanks very much.
Thank you for your time this evening.
Good night.
Yeah. David, good night.
Yep, guys, take care.
You too. We'll see you in September.
Thank you.
Yeah, have a good summer. Not so fast, Kim, you're here.